Get ready, because what you're about to see didn't just shock bodybuilding. It forced it to judge something it didn't want to understand. Branch Warren didn't walk on stage as a bodybuilder. He walked on stage as a threat. This wasn't muscle built for beauty. This was muscle built for violence. And the moment he stood under the lights, symmetry stopped being the conversation. Survival did. Before the titles, before the fear factor, before the arguments, there was a man training in gyms where recovery was optional and pain was expected. No influencer lighting, no perfect angles, just iron, chalk, and joints constantly under threat. While other bodybuilders trained to look impressive, Branch trained to withstand punishment. That distinction changed everything. Most physiques grow from balance. Branch's grew from tolerance. Tolerance to weight, tolerance to inflammation, tolerance to damage stacking faster than it could heal. Most people tried to copy this style, and most of them broke. Because Branch's physique wasn't just built on effort. It was built on an abnormal tolerance to stress. Same weights destroyed other bodies. Same volume caused chronic inflammation. Same intensity ended careers. What worked for him didn't scale. It filtered. Only one body survived it. This wasn't a physique designed to peak gently. It was built to survive pressure. His quads didn't look round. They looked shredded apart. Deep cuts, violent separation. Muscle fibers that didn't flow, they collided. People didn't ask how strong he was. They asked what happened to his legs. Standing next to Branch didn't make competitors look worse. It made them look fragile. And that's when the shift happened. Judges stopped comparing symmetry, stopped debating flow. They started asking something else. Who can stand next to this? Because some physiques don't ask to be judged. They dare you to penalize them. Judging Branch wasn't about preference. It was about risk. Penalize him too hard, and the entire lineup felt dishonest. Reward him, and you validated a style the sport claimed it didn't want. That hesitation showed on scorecards. Not because judges were confused, but because they understood the weight of the decision. Branch didn't overwhelm stages with aesthetics. He overwhelmed them with density. A chest that looked armored. Arms carved, not rounded. A body that looked permanent. Nothing about him looked temporary. Nothing looked safe. This wasn't genetics alone. This was training built on brutality. Heavy squats until movement slowed. Presses until form barely survived. Sets pushed past discomfort, straight into damage. Branch didn't train for pumps. He trained to endure. And here's the cost nobody escapes. That style doesn't build longevity. It builds consequences. Injuries stacked. Torn muscles. Joint damage. Structural wear that doesn't disappear. For most athletes, that's the end. For Branch Warren, it became leverage. Because something strange happens when a physique looks this dense. Judges stop asking how it was built. They start asking who can survive next to it. If this kind of honest breakdown is why you're watching, subscribe to Barbell Fuel now. Because this channel doesn't sell motivation. It explains reality. Over time, the damage became visible. Movement slowed. Recovery stretched. Pain stopped hiving. But the density never left. And neither did the intimidation. Crowds responded differently to Branch. Not applause. Tension. People leaned forward. Phones stopped moving. Because the body in front of them didn't look trained. It looked endured. And endurance reads as authenticity. That's why his presence lingered long after the pose ended. Branch represented something dangerous for bodybuilding. Proof that brutality still worked. That aesthetics weren't always king. That mass, when dense enough, could override preference. He didn't need to dominate every pose. He only needed to stand there. And that's what makes his legacy uncomfortable. Because it forces a question the sport still avoids. Do judges reward beauty? Or do they reward the body they're most afraid to penalize? Branch Warren didn't win because bodybuilding evolved. He won because bodybuilding hesitated. And in that hesitation, density won. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Barbell Fuel, because the next physique we break down push this fear even further. Tell me in the comments, did Branch Warren deserve his wins? Or was he proof that intimidation still beats aesthetics?